Welcome to another program, Transforming Lives One at a Time. We are coming to you from scenic Tobago in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm your host, Dianne, always happy to be in your company. This program is aired every Saturday afternoon at 5:30, and you can link us up on our social media platforms. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, TikTok. This program touches any and every area that affects us on the social landscape. We seek to find solutions to the many problems and issues we face on a daily basis. On today's program, my two guests will be sharing their stories and journey from drug and alcohol addiction to freedom. Let me welcome Ms. Carla Caesar and Mr. Dave Peterkin to Transforming Lives One at a Time. Lady and gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, as we begin, let us tell us a little bit about yourself and possibly your life before addiction and what happened. Did you have a traumatic experience? Were you dealing with grief? Or probably experimenting and things got out of control? Tell us what happened.
Well, I wasn't really I wouldn't really consider it so traumatic as such, but it's traumatic in a way that the way I was growing up. I was the last child, growing up with boys and things like that. And I feel sort of neglected and trying to cope with that. Eventually as I progressed and I grew up and then trying to cope with that, I turned to alcohol, to cope with being accepted, to deal with life, or my family. But at the time, I'm a Generation X person, Right now I'm living in Trinidad, but at that time, alcohol wasn't really a issue in Tobago. It was accepted, you can drink and things like that. But when I had discovered that it can help me cope with my feeling of neglect, I turned to it, At 16, it really impacted me at 16 as such, knowing that I can feel belonged using alcohol. But it did escalated after a while to other substances, and that is where I realized with the other substances, that is cocaine, I realized that I needed help with that substance.
Right. So it was because of that feeling of neglect that pushed you in that
direction. One of the stories I was telling someone is that, being like, there was one time that I had came first in tests, right? And the response from my parents, especially my mother, was that when I showed her the result, was that the people in the class had to be well done for you to come first, So after a while, those were the kind of atmosphere I grew up in. So after a while, I just did not try. Okay, did not try to accomplish anything as such. I remember when I ended up going to Scarborough Sec, to secondary school. One of the reports that the teacher had wrote was Carla has potential, but she is very lackadaisical. That's the first time I saw that word, lackadaisical.
Yes.
So I looked up the meaning of it, and being indifferent, not caring. And looking back at that now, I really saw that is what was happening. I did not really care. So not knowing how to deal with how I felt, yes, alcohol and these numbing substances helped me, deal with it. Just not to bother about what, you're going through. So I didn't care if anybody cared. I didn't care if, things. So that is how I was dealing with it at that point in time.
Okay. What about you, Miss Peterkin?
Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't say there was any form of neglect in my case, but I was a kind of rebellious little guy growing up, a lot of don't do's that my parents would tell me not to do. I used to do them to see what the outcome would be. So I would say most what I went through was because of disobedience and, wanting to experience a lot of the things that, your parents would say, don't do. So that's how I ended up, touching these substances, drinking at an early age and smoking at an early age, because I used to do drinking and smoking, and well, it escalated as I get older, and till me to the point where I felt, that I needed these substances to survive.
Right. So was there a time that you felt like your life was like spiraling out of control?
At the point where it was the harder drugs, right? Because with alcohol, it was accepted, and like your liming in Scarborough and things like that, But with the cocaine, there was the place that they call Ants Nest.
Oh, yes.
Right. So I was in that area, and when I started, for days, when it started to be days, going home and things like that, I realized to myself that, I needed help. At that point in time, my parents was not so aware that I was hooked, but they were getting information. My family was getting information about it, but I felt so reaching out for so much of help that I ended up confessing to them and telling them that yes, the stories that you're hearing is true. But yet still I couldn't help myself.
Right.
I was still, going through emotion of going to the areas and things like that. This is where I ended up going to Trinidad, because in trying to control myself, and control it on my own,
Yes.
I did went to the institutions and things like that. But I thought to myself that being in the environment I had was to lead you. So that is where I am at. Yeah.
Yeah. So emotionally, what was happening with you? What was taking place with Carla?
Well, there were other issues in my life that I couldn't handle. Right. Even the fact of taking the cocaine, the initial act of taking the cocaine, I was actually talking to someone who was on the streets, asking them certain questions, and there's where I decided to try. And, really, well, what happened? I got hooked on things like that. But emotionally, as I was saying, that how I didn't really fit in, I couldn't really face certain things in life. Didn't know how to express myself, I needed someone to talk to, in those times, your parents wasn't, for me, someone that you could have talked to when you have certain problems, issues in life, they will sort of, And I was telling my brother this morning, I said, most of the times, the only time that, in our times, our parents will show attention is when you do something wrong. Even in my school days, that was the only time when I do something in school, my parents will actually talk to me with the teachers there and things like that. But for me to really come to them and say, Mommy, Daddy, or Auntie, or whatever, I have this problem, or I'm going through this emotion, I didn't get that.
Right.
So I always felt alone.
Yes.
You know?
So what I'm hearing is that you were in a house full of people, but yet you felt neglected, you felt alone, and you just wanted a way to be able to deal with it.
Or to what you that kind of feeling. Right. And you know how I felt is in growing up, how I felt is like I was living like by trial and error. Because when I do try something, all they will tell me as they were saying, don't do that. Don't do that. But they're not telling me what to do. Why or what to do. What is the alternative of this way, you're living with what you are doing, okay. So it was only when the negative, they are aware of the negative, but not the positives. That is the way I felt, Looking back, I could relate. That is what was going on.
Of course, because even as you shared with when you came first in test, I mean, that is such a joyous occasion. That is something to hit the roof, and you're so excited, and you come at home with this test report. Even if it's 10 children in the class or 15 or 20, the reality is you came first, and here it is, you're coming with that kind of excitement and that kind of, oh my gosh, well, I'm probably gonna get ice cream today. And to be met with that kind of, so internally, things started to happen. Things started to happen with you, and you just had no way to release that outlet. You had no outlet, rather, to release that kind of.
Seeking validation,
Yes,
other places.
yes.
That's was negative.
Yes, yes, definitely. So, Mr. Peterkin, was there a time you felt like your life was spiraling out of control? If I don't do something about this, this will be it.
Yes, I would say, but at the time when my life was spiraling out of control, it wasn't obvious to me. I thought that I still had my life under control, because I used to drink and smoke every day of my life and not realizing I was an addict, and I would get high all day and, drive home my vehicle as normal. Well, I used to go to work as normal, and spend all day getting high, and at the end of the day, you drive home, and it's only when you meet home and you can't come out the car, you realize that you that lie, So, judging from that, you realize that you are doing something that you have no control over at the end of it all, and I think that's the time when I realized that I needed to find help somewhere.
Yes. I want us to talk about moving from that quote unquote normal life to possibly the horrors and the consequences of being an addict. Normal addict. Was it a wide space when tell us a little bit about that.
Normal life, the normal life. To me, like it wasn't normal, but being addicted, it's to me that is a cry for help.
Yeah.
It was a cry for help. As I was saying that when you do the negative things, then they will notice. So in the normal sense, it was how to put it. Your parents they do what they're supposed to do, but that part that you think that was missing and make you go and made you do the drugs, right? I don't know how to explain it, but
so you felt like throughout your life there was no kind of normalcy.
That is how I felt. That is how I felt. Yeah, that is how I really, really felt. And most of my life, and I did some analyzation with psychiatrist and he said that most of my life it was just attention seeking.
Yeah.
You know, all of the things that I have been doing is attention seeking. Like you still have this childish.
Yes. Like you felt as even from a child that you weren't heard, you weren't serious, you weren't appreciated as a child. Yes.
And that was the way that I coped with it.
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
But the in the addiction, the kind of life you was living in that scenario, I still wasn't comfortable. I was not. It's not a comfortable life to be living, and most of the people that I share with, yes. So in that environment, you could see that they were dealing with certain issues and problems too that they couldn't, they couldn't handle while they were there.
So it's always like a cry for help.
Yes, most of the times that people are doing that, it's a cry for help. Also, I could have identified with them.
Yes.
I was not comfortable, but I could have identified and see some of the similarities, of course, why they are doing it. So it's just a cry for help. So, don't really judge when you see someone.
Yes, that is so critical, because you never know what someone else is going through. As I would usually say, what I may be able to handle and deal with, you may not be able to, and vice versa.
Yes.
So we have all been given a kind of grace. So whenever we see persons going through something, if we can help, if we can point them to help, let's do so and not be so quick to pass judgment, because we just don't know what that other person is going through and have gone through in their lifetime. Mr. Peterkin?
Well, the normal life for me would have been, as I tell you, I was always a guy who rebellious, and coming through life, and you don't want to follow instruction. You find yourself now introduced to drugs, and you tend to feel that nothing is wrong with your life. As they are saying that the last person to know you are addict is you.
Yeah.
Because people see you as an addict long before you ever recognize that you're an addict. And, I would have said my life was normal even though I was using drugs. Because, as I said, I had a job and I used to go to work, and, I would drive and operate as an operator. I used to operate under the influence, So I thought my life was normal until I formed the DNA program, where I realized that I was an addict, and, drug use had me out of control,
Right.
And that's the reason why I'm still in the DNA program, because there's where I think I found recovery.
That's right. Right. Well, at this time, we're going to take our first short break, and we will be right back. Stay with us.
Are you looking for beautiful and durable flooring for your home or office? Check out D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, Store Bay Local Road, Bonaccord, Tobago, opposite the primary school. Our high-quality ceramic and porcelain tiles come in a wide range of colors, patterns, and textures to suit any style and taste. From sleek and modern to classical and traditional, your floors and walls will look great for years to come. D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. Call 460-8802 or 639-8281. We've got you covered.
Do you need electrical and plumbing supplies from construction to finish? Then check out Voodoo's Enterprises Limited, Milford Road, Canaan, Tobago. Get LED bulbs and fixtures, septic tanks, water pumps, laminate flooring, Prescott power tools, and so much more. Open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. Call 280-2050 or 660-4970. Boodoos Enterprises Limited. Hi, I am Dianne, host of Transforming Lives One at a Time, and I would like to introduce you to our brand new segment, Good Vibes, Good News. And this is where you have the opportunity to highlight your good news. You can send your 90 seconds video to our WhatsApp number 868-701-2099. That's 868-701-2099. Let's hear some of the good news that we never hear about. Good vibes, good news. Inspiring hope. Celebrating wins. Truly grateful.
Welcome back to the program, Transforming Lives One at a Time. Well, Miss Caesar, tell us about what was that defining moment for you when you came to yourself, as it were, and said, enough is enough. I need help, and I'm going to get that much needed intervention.
Well, that defining moment occurred in the time that my mother has passed. That wasn't too long after I started on the harder drugs of crack, right?
Right.
When she had passed and, people were blaming me about her passing and things like that, I sought help. I knew someone that was in the NA program,
Okay.
and I sought help with them. But it didn't end there. I still, was wobbly and going back and things like that. And I ended eventually all of that, and then there was I eventually went to a rehab in Trinidad, all these situations. But yet still, when I come back into the environment in Tobago, because it was very more difficult for women, especially with those harder drugs. And once you mentioned honestness, I know people knew you were there.
Yes.
That was the very difficult thing about it, right? So it was a long journey, right? I'm still in the process, because I'm just a year and a month or so, totally clean. But when I was sick, I was still drinking my little alcohol and things, so totally clean, a year and a month and something, right? But it was a long journey, and I had decided to really seek that help when, as I said, when my mother passed. But it was still struggling as a woman. And the process, I would say I'm still a work in process. Okay. Still a work in process.
Yes.
And that's about it for a while. That's about it for a while.
Yes, Mr. Peterkin.
Well, the defining moment for me would have been I do a normal checkup after turning age 50 years ago, and do a yearly checkup at the doctor at a clinic, and the doctor, when I went, like they recognized that my liver was that I was having problem with my liver, and the doctor recommended that I should stop drinking, and give up drug use. And I try to refuse from doing that, and she recommended that I should attend the NA program, and I finally decided, well, yeah, I would accept that, because I didn't know that I was actually damaging my liver at that time, so I decided, well, then I would try the NA program. So that would have been the defining moment in my life where I decided, well, okay, I think I should accept this invitation to attend the any program for help. You know.
Okay, because your health was in jeopardy.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Well, I want us to talk about the journey on the road to recovery and what was the impact like for you and, of course, your loved ones.
The journey, well, as I said that, it started off with the program, the any program, seeing someone that was associated with the program. And then, well, there was TOSAC. I don't know, remember that TOSAC and STARS and all these little departments. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I was, and then I church. Okay, right? That was the journey that, at first that I was, yes. But being in the environment was always that trigger. So eventually, going to Trinidad now, where there's a wider range of the program,
Right.
I could have experienced how recovery really is, different, more input. Yes, because Tobago being a small place, and then, not much persons are really seeking or knowing that they'd have a problem and seeking help.
Right.
I was able to experience it in Trinidad, and, being back and forth, that is where the journey is. Now, with my family, I'm now getting into that their understanding of it. It is taking time, but they are now getting into it to understand, what the journey is about. Everyone, that it is not really my fault. When I say my fault, that, it's a addiction.
Yes.
It's an addiction. So they are now getting to understand that. That is where my brothers trying to
See it all
rebuilding that relationship with our brothers, especially. Even one of my brothers, when he passed away, a couple of years ago, during the COVID time, he changed his profession as a security guard, because when he visited me at the behalf, he was so amazed at how they treated me and how the program was in the rehab.
Yes.
That he decided to study psychiatric nursing. Yes, that he studied psychiatric nursing. So, I felt so good that even it was something bad and something positive came out, that he decided to do that, change his profession because of how he saw them treating me.
Yes, of course. And he recognized that they were impacting lives. They were transforming lives. So he felt that kind of urge within him. Wow, I have got to do something. And many times, even in some of the areas that we choose as careers, sometimes we are doing something but just for the paycheck. But we are not doing it because of our love and our passion for it, and that we could be able to really affect lives and transform, impact lives. So hats off to your brother for really, sometimes out of bad, look at this came out. So he can now be able to encourage others. Certainly.
But he did a good before his time.
Yes.
So I was really, it touched me, and he was the one that, I had the strongest support concerning family.
Okay.
And well, there were others, like, in the same TOSAC program. There was one called Zena Carrington, Friday Guy, Steve Simon, and well, Patrick from the NA.
Okay.
So, you had that support.
Yeah.
You never give up, although I kept going back and we would always stay
To believe in you.
Yes. And I'm thankful for that. Yes. You understand? Because, sometimes, if they had given up and,
That's right. Where would you have been for today? You would not have been on this program. for today. I rejoice with you. I rejoice with you. And even as you said that you have been completely clean 1 year, 1 month, I had to say congratulations because you are doing it. You have made that decision. Enough is enough, and I am doing it. And now, by this program being aired, you will be helping thousands of people around the world who felt that they could not kick this habit. You are now impacted. So you are in your own way transforming lives as a result of being on this program. So congratulations once again. So good. Yes, Mr. Peterkin.
Well, I would say that, the program, the any program that I was recommended to, opened my eyes to a lot of things, concerning my life. I never knew that my life was so unmanageable that I was affecting my loved ones and all that. I thought that was just myself. I was doing harm to, if I was doing harm to anyone, but after being in the program and recognizing that, drug use actually affects your loved ones, Yeah, you are the one who are using the drug, but they are the one who are seeing you destroying your life, and I think that kind of encouraged me to really stay in the NA program because, after recognizing that, that it's not me alone I'm doing harm to, I'm doing harm to my entire family, my wife, my children, my brothers, my sisters, all my loved ones, And I decided and determined within myself that, I had enough. And come what may, I am not going to use drugs ever again. Today I am 7 years.
Wow.
And 4 months and 1 day clean. I started the NA program on the 16th of July 2018, and I never looked back from that day. And I would say I really had some good support from a sister of mine, mainly who I was living with, because she lived downstairs, I lived upstairs, and she was so happy to know that I was making the effort to kick that life that she used to kind of spur me on, and encourage me, and, along with my wife. Well, my wife, after being hurt so much as as an addict, she really didn't believe that, I was going to stop,
Yeah.
But for today, I would really say that she recognized that I did and intend to stop. So, I have a better relationship with my wife and children.
Yes. Well, congratulations to you. 7 years is a long time. 7 years, 1 month, and 1 day. Let me be specific. 4 months. 7 years, 4 months, and 1 day. And you're checking my days.
Yeah, well, I just say today would make me 2,668.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I am so very happy for you. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the repercussions in terms of, losing, as you rightfully indicated, your wife. She couldn't believe that you would have stopped, but yet she stuck with you. She stuck with you in spite of. And that is so important, to have persons that would continuously believe, because I know it could not have been an easy journey for that wife. I know that. It would not have been an easy journey for your brothers, because they're seeing your life spiraling out of control, and as it were, it's like they can't help. But you have to come to the realization in yourself, listen, I have got to do this. I have got to do this, and I want to commend you both again. You decided and you kept. And because you kept to it, you can be here today. I want to talk a little bit about Well, I think, Carly, you would have mentioned some of the persons who would have stuck with you in the rough and challenging times. I want to talk about some of the repercussions that came with this life decision. Share with our viewers some of the things that you would have lost. Maybe relationships, maybe a chance at building a more meaningful career, of building a better relationship with your children, raising a family, or even precious time, losing precious time. And I know that some persons you have to, as it will, buy back time or catch up because so much times would have been lost as a result of these addictions. Let's talk about that.
Yes, as you mentioned, most of these things that you mentioned is what I have lost because at the time that I had started on the drugs, I was not employed, so I was never. That is over 20-something years now. I'm in my 50s. I've never really been gainfully employed as such. But by the grace of God, I survived. I don't really know, but I survived. So because it, as I was saying, the impact of it as a woman being on this. Now, I was not really on the streets, but being in that environment.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you committed the employment part. I remember the story that I heard, and that is one of the things that made me wanted to change too. There was an addict on the street. She always tried to get better, but her route was church.
Okay.
Right? She goes to church and thing, and she would get employed. At the time, she got employed to one of those eating place, washing up dishes.
Yes.
And some persons may have seen her there, and they didn't want to. They sort of wanted to ban,
Yes, they want to boycott.
Yeah, boycott. So I told myself, why? When I want to get you, how will I get employment? This is what will happen. All of that went to Trinidad.
Right.
I forgot to mention this. I did went and study to do social work. I got the associate degree.
Really?
Yes, because of that situation.
Wow.
I told myself, you know what? For you to get employment, the only way you get employment is in that field. Because, if they see you, they will say, well, that is why she's a social worker. It wouldn't be so stigmatic of your nose.
You have been there.
Yeah. That was the idea I had in my head. But it didn't work out. I still, fell short. It's the time wasted again, as you say, opportunity wasted. When that's about what in the employment field, and then with family life, I sort of drew myself back. I never really got into any serious relationship. I have no kids. I never, marry or anything like that, because I felt like damaged goods are kind of way.
Right.
Yeah, sure, kind of way. So I never really pursued that.
I understand. Well, let me let you know today, you're not damaged goods, eh? You're not damaged goods. And not because the first part of your life would have been traumatic and you would have experienced so many ups and downs and so many things didn't work. It will work in the latter part. Because many times your latter is greater than your past. Yeah, so in spite of what you would have been through, now you are in a much better position because you can be able to now encourage somebody else. You can be able to when you speak, you don't speak as someone who don't know what they're saying. You speak from a vantage point. I have been there, I have done that, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. So you have a lot to offer. You and Mr. Peterkin, you both have a lot to offer, and I really trust that you're gonna take up the mantle and really pursue and continue to do what this program is all about, transforming lives one at a time. But just before we get back to Mr. Peterkin, we're gonna take another short break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Are you looking for beautiful and durable flooring for your home or office? Check out D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, Store Bay Local Road, Bonacord, Tobago, opposite the primary school. Our high-quality ceramic and porcelain tiles come in a wide range of colors, patterns, and textures to suit any style and taste. From sleek and modern to classical and traditional, your floors and walls will look great for years to come. D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. Call 460-8802 or 639-8281. We've got you covered.
Do you need electrical and plumbing supplies from construction to finish? Then check out Voodoo's Enterprises Limited, Milford Road, Canaan, Tobago. Get LED bulbs and fixtures, septic tanks, water pumps, laminate flooring, press cut power tools, and so much more. Open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. Call 280-2050 or 660-4970. Voodoo's Enterprises Limited.
Welcome back to the program. Just before the break, we were talking about the many repercussions that came with this life's decision. Share with our viewers, Mr. Peterkin, some of the things that you would have lost, maybe relationships, a chance of building a more meaningful career, raising a family, or even precious time that you now have to pull back.
Well, to be honest with you, it's amazing that you would speak about that, because one of the main things I lost is my family. When I say that I lost my family, is that my wife and children now live abroad, since I changed my life, but I know that the damage was already done long before I decided to recover, to go through recovery. The things I would have done to my wife, she had already made up her mind that she was going to leave me and, go somewhere else to make her life. So they live abroad, but, though they don't live with me anymore, we still have a close relationship in that. We keep in contact regularly on WhatsApp and all that, As a matter of fact, they came back from the States last year and we spent 3 weeks together, and then they went back. So I could say I lost my family in the sense that they don't live with me day to day.
Right.
But I know that, it's on an account of the life that I was living before. I don't hold it against my wife for the decision she made, So I would say that one of the main repercussions that affected me, because now that I'm clean and would like to have a better life, with my family, they're no longer around. Right. But I believe in God, and I believe that God will work it out someday, Of course. As I said, as I said, the most important thing is that we're still in contact, we're still married, and all that. Is just that they're making a better life for themselves abroad, while I continue to make a better life for myself.
Yes.
In hoping that in the future we could get together and,
Understood.
we both we all enjoy that life together.
Yes. Well, I'm so happy that they were able to come back and you spend some quality time. And of course, some of the emotions that would be running through would be regret, remorse, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, at least you would have made that decision and you are now on the track, or the right track, should I say.
That's right.
On the right track, which is definitely very commendable. Caesar, how have these experiences generally changed your life, and what would you say to individuals who tend to sometimes slight substance abuse? I have this under control. I'm just doing it for recreational purposes. They slight it. What would you say to someone, knowing what you have been through?
This is not something to be slighted, because, but they as an individual will not be seeing that it's a problem to them. Right. Because not to say I want to bring him out, but I have a brother and I've been not accept that he has a problem. But I will be seeing it because I have been there and I know what the symptoms and things that he's doing was similar to what I went through. So what I would tell them, try to listen, someone that went through it. Try to listen, when they show concern, especially someone who experiences, as I said before, when they show concern.
Yes.
And they must, you will feel, you must feel that there's a problem. Like things some along that line. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Peterkin.
Well, what I would say is that, as I said earlier on, is that you just be the last person to know that you're an addict. You see, because while you're in drug use, you tend to believe that your life's going good. You have it under control. Sometimes people say, I will stop when I want. It's not like that, It's, you see, when you become an addict, which, you have no control over drug use, the step says that we admit that we are powerless over addiction and that our lives are unmanageable. No addict admits that their life is unmanageable and they're under control, and that is the only time when someone could really be able to help themselves, when they could come out of that denial that, drug use destroying me and I have no control over it. Until such time, they remain in that situation and you could tell them what you want. They would stay right where they are. So I thank God for the program that has helped me to recognize that my life was unmanageable and that I had no control over drugs, hence the reason why I stay in this any program, because I know that this program is where I found recovery and, I don't want to lose recovery. So, I know now that, I can't afford to use drugs in any form.
Right.
Because my life would go right back to where it was and I don't want to go back there.
No going back, only going forward.
That's right.
No going back at all. Well, as we begin to wrap up the program for today, what is one thing you would like to echo in the mind and the hearts of our viewers, or maybe reiterate something that was said earlier?
Well, what I would like to see, where there's life, there's hope. All right. So even with me, sometimes I just look at my age, and it's the length of time you're taking to really come to that firm decision that enough is enough.
Yes.
And you just look straight forward. Sometimes these voices in your head will say, "But look at your age," and then again, as I repeat it, I'm not no children, no husband, nothing. So that's sort of instilled in your head. But once you have life, there is hope and there is help with the program.
Yes.
And other people, as we were saying before, that went through the situation and can understand you and can identify with you, to be around that environment.
Yes.
All right, and seek out help if you want it. As they were saying, that the individual have to want it.
True.
As I was saying before, that for them to listen and things like that, but they actually have to want it.
Yes.
But we telling them could be the starting, and being an example.
Yes.
Because they will see the changes.
Of course.
They will see the changes and they will say attraction rather than promotion. Hey, we can attract them to that, wanting that betterment for their life. Yes. And there's no time limit to say, well, it's too late.
Right.
Once as I said before, once you have life, there is hope.
Right. And that is what this program is about.
No matter where you go, yes. No matter how far you are.
Yes, there is hope.
There is hope.
Yes, Mr. Peterkin.
Well, I would like to say to the viewers and, all of those who might believe that, drug use is something that you you have some kind of control over. When you using drugs in any form, alcohol, marijuana, whatever, sooner or later it gets the hold of you and you are no longer in control of it. So I would say, if you could avoid drug use in any form, try your best not to use it. And if by chance you are using it, don't tell yourself that, you can't stop using. Because for me, I would say, I never believed that I could have lived one day without drugs. And here it is. I have been living 7 years, 4 months, and 1 day without. So recovery is possible. But, you got to want it, as it says, if you want what I have and are willing to make the effort to get it,
Yeah.
right? Because it requires an effort. It requires that you decide, listen, my life, I want to change my life, and there's always say, I am in, I have recovered for such a period of time because I believe in a God of my understanding, and that's one of the steps that say we came to believe that, God could restore our sanity, and if we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, all things are possible. And this is how I believe I am able to stay clean every day of my life, because every day I look to my God and I ask Him to take my will and my life and guide me in my recovery and show me how to live, because I know I can't do it on my own. I need the help of my higher power. And I believe that is the reason why I'm being successful, because every day I ask my higher power to guide me and help me and keep me in recovery.
So that spiritual aspect
That's right.
of knowing and recognizing that in yourself, you wouldn't make it on your own, but you need that power, that God power to keep you going and keep you pushing towards your goal.
That's right.
Yes. Well, I want you now to speak to that individual who is at that stage, if you're to go back into time, who is at that stage, that rock bottom stage, or feeling hopeless. I just don't know what to do. And I just know that I have reached that defining moment in my life that if I don't get help now, I know it's a lost battle. Speak to that person today, and you can speak right into the camera. Someone may be just scrolling through Facebook at this time and they're just hearing and they just stopped. Speak to that individual right now.
As I said before, where there's life, there's hope. And there's no time limit, or reach out. Just reach out. As Dave was talking about the higher power, there is a higher power, and he has a purpose for you in life. And like for me and Dave, that went through these things, you can see that there's hope, and we are, on that road of recovery. And just as there's hope for me, there's hope for you. So don't give up on yourself. You're here for a purpose. Everyone is here for a purpose.
Definitely.
Well, I would like to say, to anyone who might be in addiction, don't believe that you have drug use under control ever, because, you never could have control over drug use, because sooner or later it would bring you to your knees, and it requires that you put effort into it. You know, if you really want to make that change in your life, you have to, you know, find some program like I did. I found the NA program, you know. Some people find it in religion, you know, going to church and all that, but I found recovery in the NA program. So for those of you who might be seeking recovery somewhere, we have an NA program that, you know, you could attend and find recovery like I did in the NA program, because recovery is possible through the NA program and with the help of the God who created this heaven and earth. As Carla rightfully said, we all have a purpose, and once you seek God, He will reveal that purpose to you.
Of course, and of course we'll put the contact numbers on the screen so that you who are viewing at this time and just looking for some help, just looking for a way out, just looking for someone to possibly speak with you and to be able to guide you as to how to get over from addiction. There are many organizations, many institutions standing by and ready to help those that needs the help. Well, what's next for you guys? Is it that you're going to be starting a mentorship program next, or going to various youth clubs and speaking to young people as to the dangers of drug and alcohol use? Tell us. I know I just put you on the spot there.
Yeah, well.
I know I just put you on the spot.
Well, I just say for me, I am glad that I could be in this position now where I could advise someone who, might be deciding to use drugs. That drug use has no profit. There's nothing good comes out of using drugs. It's a one way. It's one way you're heading, and that is destruction. Destruction to you and your loved ones, and
Yes.
in every way, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Because when you use drugs, you become spiritually bankrupt. You believe drugs is your God. You live every day for drugs. So obviously that is who you've served it.
Yes.
So I would say that think twice. If you were to think about using drugs in any way, don't use it. And if you are using drugs, try your best and find a way out. Find a program, go to a rehab, go somewhere where you could find help. And you could even find help in religion. Some people change their lives, they become Christians and all that. So don't believe that you cannot change. Change is possible. Recovery is possible. Right? That is my take on it.
Yes.
Well, my take is, as I said before, I really have a passion for the women who went through the addiction and all the stigma with it. I have a passion for that. So, I would like to see, more women seek recovery, and successful, because most of the time you'll hear that mostly that the percentage of women that are successful is very low compared to men.
Okay.
And I would like to go on that path,
Right.
to really be an example,
Yes.
for women to know that they can get out of this pit. Because it's a sort of embarrassing thing for women, as I was saying before. So that is where my heart really at. Not to say that I'm neglecting others, but
No.
yes, you understand.
If this is your passion, it's your passion.
It's your fashion. But my experience with being an active addict, it is not worth it. Whatever problem you have, taking substance is not the solution
Yes,
because the problem stays there.
Yeah.
Because as I look at my age, and most of the things that I've been running from, I now have to face it. Remember I said I'm a work in progress?
Right.
Because all of it was banking up all the time. So now I have to just go through that and face it now.
Yeah.
So don't make the mistake of letting your problems bank up by taking substance. And reaching at an age where it will be a little more difficult, more effort to actually continue.
Yes. Well, this is where we wrap things up for today. I want to really thank my two guests, Carla Caesar and Dave Peterkin, for really opening up and sharing personal things, sharing the struggles with substance abuse and how they overcame. And I really want to say thank you. You will definitely be helping others. As this program is being aired, persons are being assisted, persons are being encouraged to get off of these substances. And of course, if they were thinking about starting to experiment, this would definitely be a deterrent, even as you spoke about so many things that you would have lost along the way. Family, children, time to be gainfully employed, time to really build a life for yourself, But I want to congratulate you both once again on making that decision, taking that decision that enough was enough. And you have done it. You continue to do it. And I pray and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And you will continue transforming lives in your sphere of influence. Well, folks, that's where we leave it for today. One thing is clear from this interview. There are no benefits attached to drug and alcohol use. There is none. No benefits. As a matter of fact, I will go further to say it's a lose-lose situation. There are no benefits, only heartaches, loss, and distress. Well, we say it as it is on this program. We said we address the white elephant in the room, and it is what it is. So this is where we wrap things up for today. I am your host, Dianne, always happy to be in your company. And if this program has been benefiting you, you could feel free to send us a note, send us a line, encourage us. And of course, if you have a topic that you would like us to talk about, you can also send a message, let us know, and we will be happy to do a program in that area. All right. I remind you, even as I wrap things up for today, I remind you of the definition of transformation, which is an internal shift that brings us into alignment with our fullest potential. Hey, we've got this. See you next time.